Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at a lovely VS or volume spike sell that is unfolded on a 24-hour chart of the NQ this morning. But as usual, we start with our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. It doesn't matter what trading approach you take. Right, this is a 24-hour chart here of the 3-minute NQ as it's unfolding at the moment. The VS sell I'd like to look at is this one here to show you how it's a good looking VS sell. If I go out to the 15-minute chart, remember MTPredictor is not a black box system. We look at only trading when the picture is clear. So to decide when the picture is clear, we look to the higher time frame support and resistance zones. At other times, we deem the markets at random. So I just want to use our training mode here, and I want to jump back to a bit earlier in the day to here. So what I want to show you is if you take a DP off the previous pivot high here, do you see this? Right mouse click, decision point. To see how that gave you an area of resistance, but the area of resistance was on your chart in advance before the market even got there. If I turn training mode off, can you see what happened? The market went up into this level and made a reversal at that anticipated resistance area. In other words, the market did what we anticipate. So this is why we like this, because when we come down to the shorter time frame chart and we go back to here, can you see how the sell setup was unfolding at higher time frame resistance? That's not the case when we were a bit earlier in the day here. Also, this was a sort of like a flat area, so it looks like there was selling coming in at this level. But when the market moved up beyond this at this point, if I just put the cursor on this bar here, can you see this bar here moves significantly beyond this level along these previous highs? Most amateur traders would look at this and see the high volume. If we look at our VS, the high volume coming in here on this high volume spike here, you see that as buying. Most amateur traders would then be looking to go long here. But because we knew that there was higher time frame resistance in the shape of our higher time frame DP on the chart there in advance, we knew that was an area of likely resistance. When the market failed to follow through, which it did on the very next bar, on this bar here where I've got the cursor, that then signified that the high volume in the previous bar was not actually buying as most amateurs would think. It was actually selling by the professionals. So this is why we right mouse click over this red sell bar here at our VS setup. If I just go back using our training mode just to show you what it would have looked like at the time, just so you can see how the analysis would have come on at the time. So that's what it would have looked like at the time. You can see there was our VS sell triggered as that bar closed. So you right mouse click, you do analysis. This then puts the trade setup on your chart. Remember, we use position sizing to keep your initial risk small and under control. So on a sample $20,000 account, this would mean going short 2 contracts. Our target was the DP from the opposing low. So that meant if the market got down to this level, it would be a profit of approximately 8 times the initial risk. If you were triggered in, like it was on the next bar, and then stopped out, it would have been a -1 hour loss. This is all we can know and control when we are traders. We can only ever control where our entry and stop levels go, and as such our initial risk. We never really ever know what the future is going to bring, so we never ever know where the market's going to go. But what we hope is over time we have profit targets that are large, not just in dollars, but in relation to the initial risk. That's why we have our profit targets at the levels we have. If I turn training mode off now, you can see the market did go down. It went into potential buy setups. Of course, you wouldn't be considering these because our MTP trend was red, and also you were coming off this 15-minute resistance. The market chopped sideways for a bit and then started to decline down where it reached the first target. So the result would have been a nice profit of approximately 8 times the initial risk. Whether you'd have considered pyramiding here is up to you if you're a professional trader. For the purpose of this video, because you would have already been in a short trade, you wouldn't be considering these because you'd already be short, so you'd just be looking to manage this trade. So as you can see, the market did actually carry on down a bit further. So if we go out to the higher time frame chart, back to the 15-minute chart, let's have a little bit more look at what the pattern was coming up into this, if I clear this off, into this TS3 cell here. Because if I right mouse click, do the analysis, can you see how the profit target would have been down here below the low? Because this was an ABC correction. So if I right mouse click, do Elliott wave intermediate, you can see this was an ABC correction. Normally the targets after a completed ABC correction is a continuation in the same direction. In other words, a new trend carrying on down. So in this case, you'd anticipate the market to go to, at the very least, new lows. So if you take a DP off this previous low here, right mouse click, DP, this could be an area of potential support. Now obviously the market's gone just through this, and we'll look at that in a minute. This could be an area of potential support for the market on this 15-minute chart. So if we now go back to the 3-minute chart, if you're a more experienced trader, you might have well said, well, rather than coming out at this particular level here, I'll then perhaps look to move down to the lower DP target, and that would increase the potential profit to nearer 13R. But that's only if you're a bit more experienced. When it reached this level, our MTP trend was strong, so then you may well even consider that you wanted to try and run the trade and use our ATR stop, which is our red dots there, to be locking in the trade that's currently sitting on, well, 19R profit at the moment with real-time data, but your stop would be around where those red dots are there at about 13, 14R. So that could be another alternative trade management strategy for this particular trade setup if you're a bit more experienced. But either way, at the very least, the profit should have been approximately 8 times initial risk as the market went down to the first target there, so that would have been a very good profitable trade anyway. So I hope you enjoy seeing this particular trade setup and how it came in at our higher time frame resistance. That's the main thing. It came in at our higher time frame DP resistance off this pivot, if you remember. So that gave an area in advance of where you'd anticipate where a reversal was due to come in. And as you can see, if I go back to the 3-minute chart, that's exactly what unfolded. The VS sell on the 3-minute chart came in right at our 15-minute projected resistance area. So had you prepared in advance for this particular trade setup. So hopefully that's been a good example of our VS or volume spike trade setup as unfolded on a 24-hour chart of the 3 and 15-minute NQ just this morning.